Well, you've demanded that he return, and so he has kindly agreed. Our friend Michael Malice is here. His podcast is You're Welcome with Michael Malice. His book, The White Pill, is fantastic. He's written many great books. Follow him on Twitter. Excellent follow. X. Now, I know it's X. I can never, I feel like I'm never going to be able to make this transition, different kind of transition entirely. But he joins us now. And let's start with this, because as you and I are talking, there's a lot of hubbub.
Hold on.
What? Go ahead.
I'm usually used to people demanding I never return. So this is a very welcome change of pace.
They demand the commenters and everything. Well, this is funny. They like when you make fun of my giant head. They all remember. So, because you're the only one who comes on my show. It's one thing if I'm on your show or someone else's show and they're making fun of my giant cranium, but you're the only one who comes into my living room and is like, I don't know if your head can fit in here, so we have to figure this out.
You know what it is? If we're not going to be having fun, we're not going to win. Because people who are in the middle, who are ambiguous voters or politically ambiguous, will want to go where the fun people are, just on an instinct level. So it's really important to have a good time, because look at Trump at McDonald's, look at Trump with the garbage truck. I'm sorry to detour what we're going to say, but this is such an important point that I think a lot of people in our side, broadly speaking, don't appreciate.
No, it's absolutely true. And I know people will be not happy to know this, but it was one of Saul Alinsky's eureka moments for activism. Oh, yeah, that it should be fun. He said activism should be, and you saw this for years with the left, with a lot of their live streaming of their weird protests and things. Make it a show, make it enjoyable, make it a thing that people want to go do. Alinsky knew that decades ago, and it turns out it's true.
And now, came to power and Obama supermajorities was because George Bush is a miserable, Bible-thumping troglodyte, and we're the fun people.
Yeah, I mean, you saw this even also with Trump, on the other side, or flipping things around, where he did the Burger King thing, which was just like legitimately very amusing. Like, whatever, so whatever.
It's a big
McDonald's.
The McDonald's. You know why this is a big difference? Because I was an immigrant kid, and when I was a kid growing up in Bensonhurst, and that Burger King is still there, going to Burger King was such a treat and so exciting. And I ate it again as an adult, and it was inedible. And I've asked people, I'm like, did I change or did the Burger King change? And they all said the Burger King changed. When we were kids, Burger King, McDonald's went head to head, and now Burger King is a distant eighth.
Yeah, I actually remember people saying Burger King had like the consensus in my world, whatever that means, growing up in New York, was that Burger King actually had better burgers when I was a kid.
They did. The Whopper was such a treat.
Yeah, it was better, but apparently that's changed. Okay, yes, but it was McDonald's. My point merely being about what we're discussing, that the media going, oh my gosh, he doesn't even really work at McDonald's. Like they were the people in the high school who were telling you that you had to stay for detention because, you walked up to the school with your headphones on or something. Like they just, no fun.
When I worked on 2 books with D.L. Hughley, he made a point. He said this very sternly. He goes, this country hates poor people, hates them. And I didn't really take what he meant to heart. And then this is what he was talking about, is that if you work for the New York Times, someone who works at McDonald's is beneath you, is barely a human being. The idea that their voice should be heard in any context is ridiculous and a joke. And the contempt from media elites towards like working class people is overwhelming. And to have Trump be at McDonald's, not really ironically, hey, I'm chipping in, I'm serving the fries, I'm doing the job. I'm not here like making fun of these people. I'm trying to ingratiate myself with them. Obviously, I'm a billionaire, but you see me eating McDonald's all the time. I enjoy it, not ironically. I have it on my planes. That, I think, was such a telling moment in terms of authenticity and who likes this country and who really would spit in the face of half this country.
And, that's also, I think, a very interesting point. Which is that he actually likes McDonald's, the food. We know that. It wasn't Hillary Clinton pretending she carries hot sauce in her bag when she's speaking remember that when she was speaking to like minority congregations, all of a sudden she's like, I carry hot sauce in my bag. And I was like, please, like,
no, you don't. That's not what happened. She was on Charlemagne's show in the Morning Zoo, and he asked her something, and she goes, like, what do you carry in your purse? She goes, hot sauce. And he goes, you're just trying to ingratiate yourself to black people. Do you know what she said? She goes, is it working? She literally said that.
I actually did not remember that, but now that you are jogging my memory, because I just remember people making fun of her, like going around it. Yes. Okay. So that's a perfect example of like not doing it in a way that, authenticity. And this was really one of Trump's, it is one of Trump's superpowers, he is who he is, and that's who he is. That sounds kind of like Popeye eating spinach, but he is. It's the truth, right? He doesn't pretend to be something else, and I think increasingly because we're all so exposed to each other via social media and just everything that's going on, especially public figures, right? You see more of public. This is why people think actors are like just venal morons now more than ever before, because we look at the one that we're like, you guys are idiots, which is great, by the way, good for society. Actors were way too elevated in our culture and in just general consciousness. But I think that people see fakeness is like the unforgivable sin in public in a lot of ways now. And I know people say, oh, what about the pandering? You can pander to people while still being true to yourself as a politician. Which
Trump is textbook new money. People who are these blue bloods like the Kennedys or whose families go like Anderson Cooper, who's like a Vanderbilt, they don't have toilets made of gold. That is something where like you're trashy, your tastes are complete garbage, and you're ostentatious. And Trump is new money, or maybe his family has money, but he's not old money in that kind of Boston Brahmin sense. And people see that. They see he's not classy in this bourgeois, I read the New Yorker kind of way.
No, and I remember even growing up in New York that there was a sense with Trump that he was, let's just say, he wasn't considered elite the way that, some of the other families that had been around for a long, Vanderbilts and things like that. And so, yeah, there is that blue collar billionaire approach. All right, I've got to get you on Canada here. Canada. They're playing the hockey game tonight, the second hockey game, I guess, tonight. Trump keeps saying 51st state, Justin Trudeau, the governor of Canada. Canadians are getting all pissy about it. What do you think about this whole thing? Canada, how should we handle this? Why is this happening? Why is this conversation happening right now?
I got the answer. You ready? Okay. Trump has no allegiance to like the establishment, its history. He's really overturning a lot of things and starting from scratch in a very positive way, I feel, and I'm sure you agree. One of the big issues on the table is reparations, and reparations is a tricky one. Because if I kind of break your bike, I have to buy you a new bike. How do you make reparation for slavery? If my great-grandparents were slaves, I can't just write you a check. It doesn't really make you whole. But I did some math. According to Google, there's 41.5 million African Americans. There's 40 million Canadians. They don't want to be free. So I say annex Canada. Every African American gets a Canadian as a slave. And that is true reparations. We'll solve the problem of racism forever, and we'll solve the problem of Canada forever. Slavery in the South was unconscionable. So the opposite, slavery in the North, is a wonderful miracle.
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard, but people can take that as they wish. So there you go. It makes
more sense than continue on as they are.
I think that Canada is a nice country of nice people. Unfortunately,
they can sing in the field. They could sing their maple syrup songs in the fields. Oh, Canada.
What do you think of the Greenland maneuver? Is that a real thing, too? Is that something that you think Trump actually is going to continue to pursue, or is that just trolling?
There's 2 points to this. I remember the inauguration day. There's a video of this, and Trump is giving a speech shortly after being inaugurated, and he goes, and going forward, we're going to change Mount Denali back to Mount McKinley, which it had been forever until Obama came along. And we're going to call it the Gulf of America. And there's a shot of Hillary sitting in the audience, like 3 people down, and she just bursts out laughing. She's like, sure, why not? Okay, we're calling it the Gulf of America now. Sure, day one. He was on the phone with the Prime Minister of Denmark, and he's telling her, no, this isn't a joke. We're getting Greenland by hook or by crook. And she was like apoplectic, and he's like, look, you're Greenland. What the hell? You're Denmark. What are you going to do about it? So it was a very funny moment, and I don't think he's joking, because per my understanding, Greenland has like trillions of dollars of natural resources. It's enormously underdeveloped. The natives, there's only 30,000 people there, do not particularly feel Danish in heritage or any kind of allegiance.
Aren't they much closer? Like a lot of them are effectively like they're much closer to Eskimos in terms of that. That's my understanding.
Or First People.
First People? I mean, some of them are Eskimos, some of them are Inuit. It depends on the tribe or whatever, right? There are some Eskimos.
But you don't say Eskimos inclusive of all of them.
Right. It's First Peoples. Thank you. See, look, that's what they call them in Canada, by the way. So Malice is actually throwing some Canadian terminology around, too.
You know what they're going to call it Canadian soon? Property.
You're completely insane. We're going to talk about Trump fighting the corporate media here in a second. Michael Malice If he hasn't blown your minds yet with his lunacy, he will shortly. Our sponsor here is IFCJ. And in Israel this week, there's a peace that the populace is hopeful for, but they can't trust it entirely. There's still a great demand for basic humanitarian aid. And this is where the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews comes in. Your ongoing monthly gift of $45 will provide critically needed aid to communities in the north and south parts of Israel devastated by the ongoing war. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews pays attention to those in need. Clay saw it firsthand on his most recent trip to Israel in December. You can provide hope during a time of great uncertainty with your gift. Bless Israel and her people by visiting supportifcj.org. That's one word, supportifcj.org, or call 888-488-IFCJ. All right, Mr. Malice, Trump versus the corporate media. Are they even fighting back anymore? Are they so defeated that they have to just lie on the canvas and hope that the ref gives them enough time that they can resurrect themselves? Like, what happens now?
I mean, I don't think they're defeated at all. They're not going to give up without a fight. They're not. I just think they don't have much of an uppercut left to them. I'm sure you saw this a few days ago. Jim Acosta failed and fired Jim Acosta, formerly of CNN. Said, you know what? Since Trump isn't going to seat the AP in the White House press corps, I think that's where it was. All the journalists should band together and stop covering Trump. So there's not even a pretense that their job is to provide information to the public and let the public decide. It is clearly that we're going to be the gatekeepers of who knows what, and we decide what's important, what's news. And the pretense that you, Jim Acosta, are going to decide that what the president of the United States says isn't newsworthy is a level of hubris that I can't wrap my head around. And there's a book about me called Ego and Hubris. So I think the masks are dropping, and Buck, I'm sure you and all your listeners, without one exception, is delighted to what extent the typical American, who is often apolitical, has contempt for the corporate press. The numbers are the lowest since ever. I think they started asking these questions in the 70s. There was a blip upwards for Democrats during COVID, but now it's cratered across the board. And I think you also saw, I'm sure we probably talked about this, when USAID, you see all these bribes to all these different news agencies in complete violation of basic Americanism and also the First Amendment. And, you know, I'm driving a truck. I'm working at McDonald's. My tax money is paying to some, can I curse?
No, but come close to it.
My tax money is paying for some poop lib who writes for Politico about how Joe Rogan's bad now because he liked Elon Musk. F you.
Yeah, the funniest thing was when they were like, we're not getting any handouts. $20,000 a year for Politico Pro is worth it. $20,000 a year? Unless you know the government or your massive company is picking up that bill, no one pays $20,000 a year for Politico to tell them, you know, what the congressional switchboard numbers are. It's insane. The only way this could work is if it's effectively. To me, it's like, yeah, Hunter Biden's paintings are worth $500,000 because people are willing to pay that, but they're willing to pay that because he is the president's son. We're not idiots. And the same thing with Political Pro. You don't have a media entity or a news organization, so to speak, a website basically with some annoying lib reporters charging $20,000 a year subscriptions unless you know that that there are corporations, and specifically the biggest corporation of all, the federal government, is going to be writing you checks for this stuff because it's all about buying access.
I remember Democratic partisans would argue, well, Burisma or whatever Ukrainian company has a right to hire whoever they want, which is fair. And it's like, okay, in your opinion, why they choose to hire some American crackhead for their gas company? Crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Why'd they hire him? Because of his history with lighting up crack pipes? What are you talking about?
It's been crazy time.
Are you also not giddy that Mitch McConnell has announced that he's retiring? He's getting run out of town on a rail.
I knew. I mean, he didn't have long. It is a health and physical thing. Yes, I'm happy that he's retired. He should have retired. I think a term ago, based on health and physical frailty and mental frailty issues. He had those freezing moments. We all know what that is. Like I've been around very old people who are dealing with that stuff, and it's sad, and it happens. And the gerontocracy in this country is very real. And I do think that this Trump administration, while Trump is older, look at the people that he's staffing up with. There's no old fogies in the mix. I mean, it's Hegseth, it's Cash, it's Tulsi, RFK Jr., but that's at HHS. I mean, you look at and obviously JD Vance is his VP. I think that we're moving away from that, which is all to the good. Here's a question I have for you, though. Go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah.
There was a big conspiracy theory in 2024 that Joe Biden was replaced with a body double. My conspiracy theory is that Trump was replaced with a Biden double in 2024 because this man in the White House is not the same person we saw for 4 years as president. That person has surrounded himself with Reince Priebus, Rex Tillerson, he drained the swamp by hiring it. This is a completely different human being, and I did not see any of this coming, or at least most of it.
But by the way, I agree with your assessment. It feels like a totally different person. I would say, though, when you see people, when you see the system after your defeat in 2020 as Trump, when you see them decide that it's not enough that they have power, but now they want to ruin you, everyone around you, lock you up in prison, and then on two different occasions, someone tries to kill you. In one case, puts a bullet through your ear. I think that irrespective of my feelings about Trump, I think that changes the person. I really do. I think that your perspective on life and everything is different after that.
He thought they were joking, for 4 years, and then he realized, oh, they're not joking. They're doing things I would never imagine doing.
Yeah, I believe that and there have been some who have said this. I think Jesse Kelly's pointed this out. I think it's absolutely true. They got the Trump that they made, right? I mean, it's like they decided that he was going to have to go into, remember Conan the Barbarian in the beginning, and they put him in the fighting camp, and he has to defeat everybody to stay alive. It's like that. They threw Trump into the Kumite, and now he comes out and he's a badass.
And it's even funnier, and I know some people are going to get upset at this. Trump's ego is so big, and that's fine. I don't blame it. If they had just kissed his ass a little bit, instead of saying he's the worst thing to happen to America and he's literally Hitler, he would have bent the knee on a lot of stuff. That's how Fauci happened. So if they had just played it a little, treated him like Mitt Romney, just we crap on you, but we're not going to try to go after your family and take away Trump Tower, it would not be this. You're absolutely right. This is their fault.
Yeah, they created this. I mean, they would say monster. I would say hero narrative, but it is entirely their doing. I have a question for you, but I have to pause. We'll come back to it, which is, who is or will be the leader of the Democrat Party? Given that it's so hold that for 1 second. Our sponsor is Bear Creek Arsenal. A couple of weeks ago, a few weeks back now, I was in Vegas at SHOT Show, and I got to hang out with the folks at Bear Creek Arsenal. They make fantastic firearms, all made in North Carolina. They start with raw metal, and they finish each rifle, AR, and pistol so that it has great accuracy and durability. And you simply cannot beat these price points for these kind of high-end weapons, the calibers they have, the upper receivers, lower receivers. I've got 4 Bear Creek Arsenal firearms. My favorite, personally, is the 9mm Grizzly. I take it to the range. It's fantastic. Go to bearcreekarsenal.com/buck. That's bearcreekarsenal.com/buck and use promo code BUCK for 10% off your order. All right, my question to you, who is or will be, you can take it in either direction, the leader of the Democrat Party? Because right now there is not one.
There is. It's the New York Times.
That's kind of a collective. I mean, okay, they maybe determine the.
It's not a collective. It's a hive mind.
Well, I think that's tomato, but nonetheless, but if it's going to be a person, they need a candidate. They need at least a figurehead. Even if the figurehead, like Joe Biden, wasn't making the decisions, everybody knows that, but he was the figurehead. Who will it be this time around? And I don't mean, by the way, in 28. I mean over the next. They need to have a person who is Go ahead.
I hear you. I don't think it's going to be a person in D.C. I think it's going to be like a media personality. It would be like a Maddow or some kind of a podcaster, because then they're kind of above the fray. And what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer could do is act holier than thou while the base is riled up and they throw fireballs at DC from the safety of behind their screens. I think that's the smart move for them, because they don't have much power in the Congress.
Yeah, it's true. Who's the most powerful person in Democrat corporate media right now?
That's a great question. Who would you say? Dean Banquet, right? The head of the Times?
Well, I mean, you could say, no, I don't think so, because I think you could replace him, for example, and it wouldn't make any difference really at the Times, So I think he's more of a figurehead of the Times. I think right now you have to say Maddow. I think that Buttigieg, for a bunch of reasons, you don't think it's Maddow.
She's hard left, and they're not moving hard left. They're trying to go, they're split.
Yeah, well, this is why I say I don't think they have one. If Gavin Newsom just wasn't so Gavin Newsom, he could step into there, but it's not gonna work. And the fire stuff that's going on in LA is really, I think.
And what's interesting is that you have Governor Pritzker of Illinois, and there's different people who are trying to stand up to Trump. and rally the base around themselves and try to be like, I'm the anti-Trump figure, setting themselves up for 2028. And it's not working. They're not coalescing around any of these
No,
people
I
in the
know.
way historically either Republican or Democrat would have.
I've never seen a party as ineffective as the Democrats are right now. People would say
the Republicans under like first couple of years at the end of Bush.
if you had let me finish, notice the host doesn't even get to finish his sentences when Malice is on. I was
speaking, Mrs. Harris.
I was speaking, sir. Let me finish. No, I was going to say that after Obama, but you have to remember the Tea Party came within a year, 18 months of that. So there was a big what?
I meant before Obama. Bush 2006 2008. The Republican Party was.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So then you're a little bit. I was saying the first year of Obama, the Republicans looked like they couldn't find up from down. So similar period. Yes, after the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then the free fall of the economy under Bush. I know people could say it wasn't really his fault, whatever, but the point is it happened. It happens on your watch. It happens on your watch. So good things going on. Michael, we're at time. So tell me, people are going to go check out your podcast. Any other exciting projects or just life advice you want to give to everybody listening?
Don't let the failures of your fellow countrymen impact on your happiness. This is America, and great things can happen to you if you put your mind to it and work hard enough.
Michael Malice, everybody. Mr. Malice, thank you so much.